Nintendo.
So this review is going to be from a Windows-based music producer perspective. I'm talking about the iPad Pro 11, and this is my first Apple product. I know a lot of people are going to feel like I'm going to be biased towards it, but you have to look at it from this perspective because I don't own any previous Apple products that I would be unbiased, and I'm going to be more fair to you guys, the end user. So let that be known. So I made an IG post, and a lot of people responded with private messages talking about I should get the iPad Pro 11, so I got it. I looked at the price, and it was $800 for the 64 gigabyte version of it, and that was rather expensive, I thought. But then the other price for the 256 gigabyte version was $950 or something like that. And I looked at that at the time and I said, well, let me go ahead and get the 64 gigabyte version. I returned the 64 gigabyte version and got the 256 gigabyte version because of the fact that I was going to get more into it because I am that satisfied with it. I can see why a lot of Apple people get crazy about their products because of the tender love and care that Apple puts into just the box in itself. I mean, the shrink wrap, the box art, when you open up the box, the way that the iPad is put in there, the cellophane. I can't even call it plastic. I can't even call it shrink wrap or plastic. It's got to be cellophane. But yeah, there's a lot of love put into this product that I just thought, yeah, like. And then when you get to the iPad Pro 11 itself, it gets better because of the way that the chassis looks. The chassis looks beautiful, especially in the space gray. Even though I wanted a different color, I will take the space gray. It just looks beautiful. The other thing that I thought was fantastic is when I hit the power button and looked at the Retina display for the first time. The Retina display, when you have it up close and personal, looks gorgeous at all angles. I was like, what Windows product does this right now? I'm pretty sure there is, and I'm pretty sure some people are going to leave comments saying, oh, there's several Windows products that the display adjusts itself on its own using the camera. Apple's not the only one that does that. Speaking of which, I know there's a Surface that I could have got that has Microsoft Windows on there, and I also know I could have got a Samsung Galaxy Tab that has plenty of music applications for it. But the quality of the music applications on Apple products are ridiculous, so iOS has them beat in that regard. Speaking of iOS apps, I love this one right here. This is Beatmaker 3. I really love it. And there's other apps that I like. There's a auto-tune app. There's Rosetta. Rosetta's a really dope app. Yeah, Soundscaper, which is extremely good. I'll be doing a review on that. Poison 202, which doesn't get enough credit for the dope patches that are in there. And of course, there's Korg Gadget, which is extremely good as well. And then if you like lo-fi sound, you can get lo-fi sound with Lo-Fi Dirt. And then my other true passion, of course, is editing photos. So, you can edit photos on here as well and do a lot of good stuff. So please believe I will tackle some app reviews. So now I want to talk about all the apps right now. I want to save that for another video. I want to milk these iOS videos to the very gram. So in real world practices, I would have to bring my laptop and like my Ableton Push and then an audio interface just in case if the studio didn't have it and some other things to do music. But if I just use the iPad Pro 11, I could use the Spire audio interface, which has a built-in mic on it that sounds really good. And I can bring the CME controller and I'll be done. And if I really want to go even smaller and not carry that much stuff, I can bring this right here, the Nano Keys. So as you can see, it's a really small and manageable setup, and you can do a lot with the iOS apps. One of the negative things I have to say is the fact that it is missing a headphone jack. I think every Apple user is pretty pissed about that still, that they had to go out and reach and get a $9 accessory. $9 might not seem like a lot of money, but it does add on to the fact that you may have spent $950, $800, or even $1,000 on the most maxed out hard drive for the iPad Pro 11. $9 would kind of tick you off. Even though this doesn't have a headphone jack, I'm really impressed by the sound quality that comes from the 4 speakers. Turn it up. And then even though you have USB Type-C, you can't put something like the Samsung T5 external hard drive to it and plug it up, even though that takes USB Type-C, because Apple doesn't allow that yet. But there are workarounds. You do have AirDrop, so if you're in the Apple ecosystem and you have a MacBook Pro, you can AirDrop into the MacBook Pro, which I really just want to get a MacBook Pro now because of that, or you can drop it into your iPhone just in case. If you're a Windows-based music producer, you can use a Ravpower, which I'll talk more about that in a future video because I don't have mine yet, which has more of a Windows directory-based ecosystem on your iPad. So you can back stuff up back and forth to your Windows laptop to your iPad Pro 11. So the battery life on it is pretty good. I think that I went a full entire day without charging my iPad Pro 11, even though that might change as time goes past. You know how lithium-ion batteries could be like when they age. Processing power, I really don't want to get into the specs because I don't really think that will help the review that much if I do Geekbench stuff, but I'll have a link in the description box just in case you want to check out all that BS and compare stuff. From my experience, when I pulled up plugins in Beatmaker 3, there was a little bit of lag, and there are standalone plugins that still freak out the CPU. You can see that it does play with the memory a little bit and only have like one plugin pulled up, so that's kind of crazy. I don't know how that works. Maybe the app is not optimized for it yet. Is it practical to make a full beat on a iPad Pro 11? Yes, it depends on what applications you use. Again, Beatmaker 3 makes it very possible for you to freeze down tracks, so if your plugin is taking up a lot of your memory, you'll be able to do that. It's not a pain in the ass either to do that process either, so I'm just letting you know that, as well as Cubase's 2, which allows you to do that as well. Either way, the performance is not going to blow you away. I feel like the iPad Pro 11 was made more so for 4K editing than it was for music production, or at least the apps that are on there right now aren't optimized. This did just drop like 2 months ago, so you know how it is when it comes to Apple products. They drop a product each year and all the companies are forced to update their stuff. Overall, my experience has been very good with the iPad Pro 11, so I really like it. So in closing, do I think it's worth the money? Yes and then no. Do you need it? Is it a necessity? Obviously not. It's not a necessity, but it is fantastic. Some of the applications need to be balanced out for the iPad Pro 11. Obviously, they need to be updated, so software developers got to dive right back in to make things optimized for the iPad Pro 11s, because given the specs of this thing and it being so fantastic, I think that the apps themselves just need to be updated. If somebody else tests this out and I'm wrong, well, I'll just be wrong. Do you need this? No. Is it a fantastic luxury? Yes, it is. Could you do some fantastic stuff presentation-wise as well as music? Absolutely. Will it replace my laptop? Probably not. And will I get another Apple product? Hell yeah. MacBook Pro is coming soon. The stamp of approval has spoken.